I am one of the survivors of the 1988 massacre. I have spent time in Gohardasht, Rasht, and Evin prisons from 1981 to 1993. During the massacre, I was imprisoned in Gohardasht prison. Only a handful of prisoners survived that time. Most of the truth of that crime is still hidden behind the curtain, especially in provinces. For instance, the massacre in Rasht, that we have very little information. This matter reminds us of the beginning days of the executions in Gohardasht. During that time, I was in a section which looked down on the building and the airing yard, as they would call it, where the first executions of Gohardasht were taking place. Right before that, they removed the TV, then they cut off all the outdoor airings and the visitors, and they actually cut off from the world outside. One day, a guard entered the yard holding a wireless device and checked everywhere. It was the first case that aroused our suspicion. After a while, they brought in some prisoners whom my mates knew. Then they were moved through the main gates. Many of the pastaran, clerks, cooks, and service workers all were gathered, standing right behind the hand barrow filled with ropes, and they all went towards that building. They should all contribute to the crime, and so they would not reveal the secrets. That's why after 32 years, they still remain silent, because they're all participants in this crime. The crime is so heinous that no one opens mouth on that. I remember for some time, since my brother-in-law, Younes Qudrati, one of the martyrs of the massacre, was executed in Evin, they took my family to Vavak, the Ministry of Information. This is the picture of my brother-in-law. I should mention that Younes, in his last letter to his mother after his return to Evin prison, had written that the prison doesn't look the same as before. Everything has changed. The family would ask, what has changed? What do they want to imply? Later we understood that he meant the division of prisoners and preparations before the massacre. Always when I review the past, I remind myself and my friends of those conditions. Sometimes I ask myself, what could happen if that massacre didn't occur? What could transform the society in Iran? More than 30,000 people, patriot fighters. The regime knew exactly what was going on and what it was doing, what potential it was cutting away from the society. Another point I'd like to make is that at the time of the massacre, they were very much in a hurry to commit a crime. The regime faced the problem of political prisoners since 1981. The decision of mass killings in prison was a decision that was taken from a long time ago. They only looked for a chance to make it happen. After the ceasefire in the war, they took advantage of that opportunity and began the massacre. I was taken to the court twice. The first time, it was early days, as far as I remember. It was from our own section. Most of them were senior inmates of Gohardasht and Karaj. But the second time, around 2 weeks later, when I looked beneath my blindfolds, there was turmoil. Prisoners had been sitting everywhere. The corridors, the stairs, the cells, everywhere was filled up. They were all waiting. They were prisoners with sentences. And this is how unfair it was. The regime committed this knowingly and with precise plan. By eliminating the prisoners, the regime wanted to erase the question. They must pay for it. Every day we must protest so the international organizations would pursue this crime against humanity so it wouldn't repeat itself again. Thank you very much for listening to my words.